Big Sills. I'll tell you what today, man. I saw something that was awesome. And on Saturday, The Rock was there with Dion and promoting college football. He promotes football. He is a superstar, and I'm proud to bring him up here now on the Dan Sileo Show. Here he is, The Rock. Dude, I've been waiting so long for this. Hey, man, that was so awesome today.
Thank you, Dan. First of all, thank you for having me on. This has been years in the making. So finally we get a chance to do this, man. I'm so happy to do it. So good to see you, and go Canes, baby. I just had to start off with that.
Absolutely, Rock. I got to say this to you, man. That was awesome on game day. How important was it for you to be there today with Dion? And you were not just promoting a game, Rock, you're also promoting a cause because, again, in college football, we need more minority coaches. We need more faces like that in our sport. I mean, was that also the backdrop to this thing here?
The whole idea of getting to Boulder, Dan, was not only to support and promote college football. I mean, it's game day, baby. You know, if you're lucky enough, like I've been lucky enough to play the game, like you've been lucky enough to play the game on many different levels and become incredibly successful, you know, doing something like that was a real pleasure. But also, I wanted to go to Boulder because I feel like something special is happening in college football right now. Now, you know, what Coach Prime is doing, he's a winner. I think you played against him, right?
I did, yeah. He was a freshman, Rock, in '86, and Testaverde had 6 picks that year. Unbelievable. He had 3 of them. Hey,
as a freshman.
Unbelievable.
As a freshman. So, you know, Coach Prime is doing something special in college football, galvanizing that team, that community, that school, putting them back on the map in such a big way. But also, as you were saying, just as important is the success of a minority coach, and how for many years it's been, well, if you're a minority coach and if you're a man of color, black or brown, you come in, there's a certain way you got to do it. You got to do it by this book, by this particular number, and in this particular way. But Coach Prime is not that, and he's never been that way. And so I love the stuff he's doing. He is doing it his way. He's getting in there to disrupt, and he does it with swagger. And as you know, when you do things with swagger down in Miami, that's always a good thing.
You know what, Rock? I've been telling people this. What he's doing is what you and I did 25 years ago, but we just didn't have social media. And when people watched what Jimmy allowed us and what Dennis and everyone allowed us to do, we did that. And I think that's maybe one of the things that's attracted to you, because you like people thinking out of the box. Your entire career, Rock, has been out of the box. I mean, so that's got to be attracting to you when you see someone and what he's doing and the path he's taking.
I love people who think out of the box. I love people who try to think big picture. I also, I am notoriously guilty. And my team will tell you this, and you've become friends with a lot of my team, by the way, who love talking with you and communicating with you. But I always say, listen, here's a big picture thought, here's a big picture goal, and that's the end vision that I see right now. I have no idea how we're going to get there, but that's okay. Let's just put in the work. So I love always big picture thinkers. Dion is that way. We're like that at Miami, by the way. So, and that's what attracted me to Miami. And you know this. Miami, when they were recruiting me with Dennis, they had just won the national championship. So I wanted to go to the best. But not only did I want to go to who I felt was the best, but also there was just an aura about Miami. There was a way that they did it with disruption, with swagger, how you guys were the ones who really wrote that playbook for us to follow. So that was always one of the big things that attracted me about Miami too. And it's funny, and I know you get this question a lot too. Will Miami ever go back to the old days of Miami? And I always like to say they don't need to go back to the old days of Miami. What Miami needs to do is they need to create their own paradigm and their own way of hard work. And I believe they're doing it. And Coach Cristobal, we love that guy. That was my teammate, down at Miami. Was he there when you were there? Did he?
No, his brother was, but I had him on last week, and I got to tell you something, man. Coach Ogeron told me something. Do you guys really have still a beef with one another? And Mario goes like this. what makes you think we had a beef? I go, no, I just heard there was a little battle between you and him. Every time you guys got into practice, you guys were battle back and forth. He goes, you know, I love the guy, and you know we love one another because that's just what it is. And I said, I'm just curious because I'm going to talk to Rock soon. You guys had a great rivalry, man.
We did, me and Coach Mario, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, we did. I mean, we were banging every single day. When I came in as a freshman, and you know, you were defensive lineman, so there's a lot of that. When I came in, I mean, we had Russell, we had Mark Caesar, we had all these guys, and I came in, and those guys took me under their wing, and I was balling. But the one in front of me, every time, 2 practices a day, every day was Mario Cristobal. I mean, we were banging on the field. In the weight room, we had competitions, but he is of that DNA. And that's the guy who you want leading your Hurricanes. Thank you. By the way, big shout out to Coach O. I love Coach O too.
I just love the guy. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, Rock. I played in Canada, and I played in the World Football League as well because, look, I wanted to keep my dream alive. And the one thing that you're doing that, to me, it kind of springboards off of what I think has made you now because, see, you have the never-ending finish line. See, you're never going to be satisfied in your life with anything you do, no matter how much money, no matter how much fame you have. That's an innate thing that's just built inside of you. And so when you put this XFL out there and you throw this out there to people, I mean, to me, Rock, this is about keeping dreams alive and keeping people's opportunities because you're going to find a Kurt Warner in your league.
Yes.
How important is what you're doing with the XFL right now?
Well, Dan, for me, and I know I could speak for my co-founder, Danny Garcia, who another, Miami Hurricane. It's the most gratifying thing that I've ever done in terms of a venture because it goes back, Dan, to really the core of who we are. And at the core of who we are is, as you mentioned, dreams. Dreams meet opportunity. That's what the XFL is. My dream, going to University of Miami, I have goosebumps now thinking about it. 18-year-old freshman, I'm going to Miami, Coral Gables. My dream was to play in the NFL. And I was the first one in my family to go to college, get a scholarship. We couldn't afford it, so I was able to get a scholarship in Miami. So the dream was always the NFL. There was no XFL at that time. And as you know, with when you're playing at Miami, you have all these first rounders. Everybody's going to the league. The boys all come back to Miami, right? For all the young bucks, showing us, hey, the ropes. This is how you do it. We want to pull you in. We want you to make the league too. It never happened for me, and I wish, Dan, at that time there was an XFL, but there wasn't. So years later, for us to be able to buy the XFL, create this opportunity for players that I didn't have, because as you know, NFL, there's a 53-man roster. But that 54, 55, 56, like those players.
Wait, when you were trying to make it, it was 47.
Right, right, by the way.
Now 71 can make it, Rock, plus these other leagues.
Plus these other leagues. And so with the XFL, what the XFL is doing, Dan, we put over 60 players in NFL camps,
awesome.
Which was really phenomenal. So I was so happy about that. And I always got to say, I take a moment to give Roger Goodell, Troy Vincent, their props and acknowledgement, because we went to New York when we were standing the league up and said, there is no competition with the NFL. We're not looking to do that. We love the game of football. How can we grow the game of football and give these other players opportunities? Can we partner in some way? We got the support from the NFL, which we really appreciate. And you know what's been the most gratifying thing, Dan, has been seeing these players sign their NFL contracts, come back. So by the time when I come back and see them and I shake their hands, brother, like that handshake is a strong handshake. When I give them a hug, their hugs and their tears, and it's like, thank you for this opportunity. Brother, it is the greatest. It's the most gratifying thing, creating that opportunity.
Rock, let me ask you one more question here on this. And to me, for you, I wonder, Rock, if you'd be in your position that you were, if that one dream didn't come true for you. I know that you have an intestinal fortitude and a drive in you that you want to be successful and you were never going to be broke. That's why $7 is what it is, because you have $7 in your pocket when you got down to Coral Gables. But Rock, don't you think maybe that experience, maybe of not reaching that pinnacle, has made you reach the pinnacle of where you are right now, where you're the biggest superstar on the planet? I mean, and by the way, you're the biggest superstar on the planet with the greatest. You're so humble. I mean, because I think that background of yours keeps you that way, and it keeps you level. You're the only superstar I've ever seen like this, Rock, where people want so much from you. And yet, you know what, man? You're willing to do it. You have so little time to do it. But I just wonder, man, if that, I don't want to call it failure, that journey led you where you are now.
Well, thank you. Thank you for those flowers, Dan. It means a lot to me. Thank you for saying that. You know, the $7, when I didn't get drafted in the NFL, I didn't get that call on draft day. I went to the CFL. You played up there too as well.
Yep.
Played in Calgary. Wound up getting cut in October. And that was it. The dream was over. And that's when I had $7 in my pocket. And I had to move back in with my parents. They had a little apartment in Tampa, Florida. And, but it's okay, Dan. We should call it a failure because I did fail at that particular dream. However, I like to say now it was the best thing. Making the NFL was the best thing that never happened for me because it then set me on this path and journey where, depression hit. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was there in Tampa, like I'm 23 years old. I had to move back in with my parents, all my other friends. Warren Sapp just signs this big football deal. You know, all these other players from Miami, they're buying their moms their houses. The dreams are coming true. My dream is over. But it was the best thing that never happened for me because it gave me a drive. And you know what it also gave me, Dan? It gave me a real chip on my shoulder. Like, it's that dream may be done, but the world's not done hearing from me. And there's something out there, and I don't know what it is, but it created this fire. The fire was already there, but it's almost as if you pour like a gallon of gasoline on it. So it did set me on this path. Number one, the first thing was just gratitude and humility because you realize now that I'm a lucky SOB to have gone down this road and have accomplished a few things, but also you realize it could all go away. Very quick, just like that. It could all go away. So that's why I could approach life today full of gratitude, but still, as you said earlier in the interview, we never arrive at the thing. Like that's what keeps us hungry is we never arrive. Like it's always there. It's like we haven't reached it yet. So that's the thing that just keeps us hungry and going. By the way, big shout out. I love the Leroy Selman jersey behind you. That's amazing.
One of the greatest human beings I've ever, when I first got drafted by the Buccaneers, he became one of my dearest friends. I wore 93 at Miami because he wore 93 at Oklahoma. And
wow,
there was my idol in front of me. And I'm going like, oh my God, the greatest human being I've ever met, Rock. And he was one of the most dominant players. And I was so grateful to get drafted by the Bucs in the third round. I mean, I was a junior. I should never have left. But, I mean, it was –
Was that the supplemental, Dan? Is that what it was?
Wait, what's that?
Was that the supplemental? Did you?
Yeah, I had to go into supplemental. We went with Brian Bosworth and Chris Carter. And those two guys were in the draft with me. Get this, Rock. I'm preparing for Florida in 87. And all of a sudden, the NCAA declares me ineligible, and all I did was graduate because I transferred from Maryland. I took summer school classes because I wanted to graduate. Back then, they didn't allow you to do that. So get this, Rock. I had a Canes helmet on Friday. Sunday, I'm lining up against the Chicago Bears and Walter Payton, and I'm doing this. Holy cow, it's Walter Payton. I'm like, my guys on the Buccaneers are going like this to me. And everyone's going like, yeah, it's Walter Payton. It was his final home game in our stadium at Old Buck Place. And I'm going like this, holy cow, it's Walter Payton.
Yeah, wow. But I guarantee that Chicago offensive line was like, oh my God, Dan Sileo bench presses 550 pounds. He's gonna put us in the cheap seats.
Hey, Rock.
Let's talk about that just for a second. So I got to give you your flowers. You know, I always say this, like when I got into Miami, I was always a big weight room guy. I know you and the boys were too. Back then, you had you and Jerome Brown and
Fagan,
Bill Hawkins, Kevin Fagan, those guys, big weight room guys. And you held that you bench press record was you still hold records.
Yeah, right now I still hold a D tackle record for 535. You have to remember, Rock, it was a 500 square foot dungeon. There was nothing there but 3 benches, a squat rack, nothing. And Kevin and I go like this. We didn't go to Miami because of the facilities. We went to Miami because it was a brotherhood that still exists to this day. And Jimmy would stop. Kevin was at 560. I was at 535. They went like this. You guys, please stop. Because they were afraid we were going to get hurt. And I had like a 700 squat. I mean, my God, back in the day,
Wow.
Rock, I'm doing flat bench dumbbell presses with 300 pounds in each hand. I mean, now I can't jump over a stack of quarters.
That's all right. You put in that work. It was incredible. Well, you guys were legendary. I mean, that was when I got there, one of the things that really motivated us as freshmen and me personally was just seeing the record board, seeing you guys up there, man. I mean, that's really incredible. Those records that you guys had, but especially back then with the facilities that, you know, they weren't the $100 million facilities. As you were saying, they were the dungeons, but that was a good thing. The dungeons were a good thing.
Absolutely, Rock. I'm going to be following, and you know I follow your journey, and your time is worth billions of dollars to me because you're so limited in the time that you have, and we're so proud of you and how.
Thank you,
dude,
Dan.
I'll tell you one of the greatest things that people don't know. So people call me and they go, The Rock donated our locker room. I go, what do you mean? So they start taking pictures of it, and I'm like, this dude, man, he'll always be a Hurricane. I don't care what anybody says, Rock. You'll always, in your heart, you will always be a Miami Hurricane, and we follow your journey.
Thank you, brother. Well, that's the Kane brotherhood. You know, there's that term that we have. It's a Kane thing you wouldn't understand. And it's just one of those things where I was honored to be able to give back to the program in that way. And, you know, I got to tell you, Dan, the Miami legacy, I was lucky enough to win a national championship. We played for it on 2 other occasions. But the life lessons I learned at Miami.
Me too.
Well, you too, right? Like,
yes.
Well beyond, and this is not a
no
knock to the professors. I had great professors, and we had, took my classes when I went to class. But it's those life lessons that I learned on the practice field, at the Orange Bowl, in the weight room, sacrificing, waking up, training every day. I mean, that is the stuff that I took for life. So to be able to give back and, you know, create that locker room for those boys is just a small way of me saying thank you.
You know, one of the lessons being taken to Overtown in Liberty City by Jerome, walking into community and knowing what we meant to that community, Belle Glades, Florida. Some of the kids on our team, Rock, grass on the roof, dirt on the floor, come from nowhere. And it was a place of dreams. The XFL is a place of dreams. Rock, you chase your dreams. You're all about looking down the line there and never running through the tape because you don't have a finish line. I can't tell you how I appreciate your valuable time. Thank you so much. Your team is special. Man. By the way, Maya cost me $11.45. Yeah, he finally has a window. I'm going like this. Way to go, Maya. I really dig it. Thank you so much, Rock. What a great time today, man.
Well, look, we got to do it again, and congrats on the show. I'm so proud of you, man. And
thank you.
Look, we in any way I could support, I'm always here, and I appreciate you. I just always appreciate you just pushing the dream, and that's what football does. That it bonds us all together. And it unlocks that dream that we have. And if we're lucky enough to play for a great team like we were at Miami, you're lucky enough to go on to the pinnacle in the NFL like you were. It's a very, very special thing, man. So, Dan, I appreciate you, brother. I love you, man. And by the way, what a lot of people may not know is you were a pro wrestler too. So
wrestled CWA with Big Otto, and actually, Rock, Junior European Wrestling CWA champion. 14 days though, dog. You know, Road Warrior Hawk beat me, and
that's a good thing to get beat by him.
and get this, I was ranked in the top 10, and I'm ranked ahead of Ken Patera. Holy cow! What another idol of mine.
Wow, that's a blast from the past. Who went to the Olympics, right?
Absolutely. He was a clean and jerk guy. Rock, I know you got to roll. Thank you so much.
Look, I could do this for hours, Dan. You know that. We could
Yeah,
chop
you
it
know,
up
you know, Rock, you could do it for hours, but your folks are going, please don't say that. Rock, I love you, man. I love you so much, man.
Love you too, brother.
I totally do. Thank you so much for doing this, brother.
Thank you, Dan. Keep kicking ass, brother.